I had also asked Kyle Burns from our emergency management head to talk briefly. There was a series of emails that went out, I think it was last week, about the convention center being used as a vaccine site, and there's a lot of misinformation. Unfortunately, some of them being spewed by some of our fellow council members, and I thought it'd be good if Kyle just talked to us a little bit about how we interact with the county in terms of coordinating emergency management, particularly dealing with the pandemic, and how we're dealing with all of the actions dealing with rolling out vaccinations and all that. So, Kyle, thank you for being available to talk about this for a couple of minutes.
So we've identified several different locations throughout the county during this process, and a couple of those locations are in Overland Park. We did identify the convention center. So in talks with convention center staff, in talks with the health department and county emergency management, we were trying to figure out what place best fits their operation. So we have had communication about the convention center. It is ultimately up to the health department, because it's their operation on which site they want to choose that is going to best support their operations. So the convention center has not been ruled out, and there are several other sites throughout the county that they're still working to see if which one is going to fit best for their operations. But again, ultimately, it is up to the health department to decide that, because they are running the operation.
Well, I'll start with Holly. Go ahead, Holly.
Thanks, Chairman. So what I'm hearing, Kyle, is that you are in daily conversations since last March with the health department of the county.
Yeah, if not, at least 3 times a week that I am in several meetings with them, and we're always going over vaccinations, and recent. Obviously, that's the recent conversations, vaccinations. At the beginning, of course, it was, the lockdown, safety procedures, all PPE, and then of course it turned into the testing, rolling out the testing, running the testing sites and supporting those. So a lot of logistical stuff in the beginning, and it's just continuing to transition into the next phase, which is the vaccinations now.
Okay, and those conversations were happening in late summer to find a dedicated vaccination location. Late summer.
That's when we began the conversations, looking at, knowing that we were talking about December, January timeframe, that we were anticipating. Of course, we like to plan for the worst and pray for the best, but they were saying that they were going to come out at that time, so we had to plan for that in anticipation that they would come out in that time frame.
And that would be a coordinated effort with the county and Overland Park, having all these logistical concerns considered, not just a quick decision, but lots of things considered, like traffic and public works, like you were saying.
Correct.
Councilmember Graham?
Thank you. And I think that it's inherent in what, Kyle, you have said and Bill has said, but also what Council Members Kerrigan and Grummet just asked you, that it's not only that you're having these conversations and have been since the pandemic began, but that Overland Park is specifically willing to support the efforts of the county to step up, to offer the facilities where it's appropriate to do so. I mean, is that my understanding correct?
Absolutely. There are several facilities within Overland Park that are possibilities. It depends on what the county decides, and that it's ultimately the health department, what they decide is going to be best fits them. And really what they're looking for, like Bill said, is that big open warehouse type space where it takes that there's nothing in it right now. And because currently what they're doing is they have to break down their operations every night at Oakham because they use the basketball court. So what they really want is something they can set up. It's a long-term, and they can have, whether they have 100 people come in for vaccinations or 2,000 people come in for vaccinations, it's able to handle the influx of people.
Yeah, and they're in the process of identifying those facilities. That's what I understood you to say. And
they are. They're doing. They're going through a process right now, and seeing which facilities are going to best fit their needs.
Well, thank you. I think this is. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Stacy. I thought you were finished.
Oh, I just want to say that I think this is such an important topic. I'm so glad you brought it up at the committee and that you've talked about it. I greatly appreciate your work. There is just a lot of anxiety in the community around the availability of vaccines and where people are going to get them. And I think, there was some concern raised that the city was not a participant in these conversations or was not, willing to provide whatever support and help is needed. And it's very important to understand that there is a collaborative effort here, ongoing and frequent communications, and a willingness on all involved to provide what's needed so that we can distribute vaccines when we get them.
Oh, and it's been a collaborative from the beginning. And, we have folks from the fire department that are actually administering some of the vaccines at some of the vaccination sites. So helping out wherever we can to ensure that the residents of Overland Park and the county are able to get vaccinated.
That's great. Thank you very much.
And I just would reiterate about the message here, and that if any of our media friends are listening to this conversation, I would urge you to publish a story about this and correct the record. That we really need to let our residents know that who are anxious like me to get a vaccine, that we are on top of this and we're working very closely with the entire metro region to make this work. So it'll happen, and everybody, if they could just be patient, they'll get their opportunity to get the vaccine.